Let's take a look at our top selections for Dan Illman, Mike Bureau. Let's take a look at race number 11 at Gulfstream Park on Saturday. It's the Sunshine Turf. $75,000 is the purse, mile and a 16th. These are Florida-bred 4-year-olds and up. Pretty wide open race, as you can see by the morning line. The 9 Venezuelan Hug, 3-1 on the morning line, overcame some trouble last time out, Mike.
Yeah, that horse is pretty good, Dan. They're running him in the right races right now, so I certainly look at him as a major player in this race, but there are other options here. This is actually a pretty good field.
Better post position for the number 1 Second Mate. Let's take a look at the Timeform U.S. pace projector, because we know Second Mate's a one-run closer. He might benefit from that red bar situation, indicating it's a fast pace. Venezuelan Hug, the 9, might also benefit. I do think the pace is going to be solid in here. I mean, Proven Strategies is a fast horse. Monforte right next door. He's very quick. Max KO's got speed. I think we're going to get a fair pace that could set things up for the Stalkers closers.
Yeah, I agree, Dan. I think there is plenty of pace in this race, and it's going to be very important, especially for a horse like Proven Strategies, who, I mean, he just feels like one of the major players in here based on his recent form, Dan. But, we'll see how fast they make him go early, because that could really work against him.
As for Second Mate, I wonder if he's running himself back into shape. This is going to be his third start since the 2020 edition of the Sunshine Millions Turf. Michael Maker just couldn't get him right, and it looks like he's slowly starting to get back into form. 90 buyer last time out when finishing behind Venezuelan Hug. Later on, we'll show the replay of the Venezuelan Hug race. Venezuelan Hug had a tougher trip.
Yeah, based just solely off of that race, and that's probably a mistake to do that. Just, look at these horses and judge them off of one race. But based off of that one, you probably want Venezuelan Hug more than you want Second Mate, because this horse just had a clean trip most of the way around there. Danny was out in the clear all through the stretch. He just missed by a head, but Venezuelan Hug it seemed like he ran a lot better than this horse did.
Proven Strategies, the number 2, might have to deal with some other speeds, but he is the speed nearest the rail, and he's pretty good. He ran second to 2 top 3-year-old turf horses last year in stakes races, Gufo, Decorated Invader, and then he won his last 2 starts, including this race, the Toronto Cup. This was a good performance, going a 1-turn mile over the E.P. Taylor turf course. We swing into the stretch. Sherrill Spite was a horse that began his career with a lot of promise. Maybe he didn't pan out as expected, but Proven Strategies, he puts him away and he holds off the closers.
Yeah, I mean, I wouldn't take anything away from him for this race, even if he did have, a pretty easy trip on the lead. He's been really good, basically right along, Dan. He was a good 2-year-old, even though, he doesn't show any wins during that campaign last year. He ran really well in some good races, and, his 4 wins last year, they did all come when he was able to make the lead. So that is something you have to worry about. But he just ran really well. He has that one race at Saratoga that looks bad. He had no chance that day. There was a wicked pace from a runoff in there. It just totally took him out of his game. Other than that, he was right there every time.
Monforte was claimed for $35,000 in 2019, and he had won 6 of 7 going into the Millions Turf preview last time out. He was the beaten favorite that day. What happened? Was he simply a victim of pace warfare, or just didn't show up?
I mean, it was a race that really went to closers at the end. So, I mean, I feel like you probably don't want to be too hard on him for that last race. Like, Venezuelan Hug and Second Mate came from way out of it to run 1-2. So this horse had an excuse last time. He had won his 2 prior starts with good figures. I mean, he's a horse that has speed, and he's going to have to deal with Proven Strategies early in this race. But this horse is actually pretty good.
And that's a fair point, because he really seems like a need-the-lead type. And it'll be interesting to see if Johnny Velasquez and Jose Ortiz on Proven Strategies, there's a little bit of chicken going on. And if not, it could be a fast pace. It could set things up for the 4, Sham Rocket. Let's watch Sham Rocket's first start for the Todd Pletcher barn. It was at Gulfstream, going a mile earlier this meet. This is a really nice close. He's on the outside in the familiar Donegal silks. And when he finally changes leads right over there, he kicks it in.
This horse does have a pretty good closing kick. If he gets the right trip, he can factor in this race, especially with a fast pace. It feels like that would help him as well. We'll just see if he's going to be able to take a step forward here, Dan. There are a couple of races from last summer where he faced Venezuelan Hug, and he was no match either time. Venezuelan Hug ran this horse right over twice.
5 over the channel's interesting for me, especially with the blinkers off. Last time out, this horse ran in the Claiming Crown Emerald, and he kind of got hung out 3 wide without cover going into the first turn. He was a little bit headstrong and eager, and then he faltered in the stretch in a race that went to closers. I think this horse is okay, and I think with a more patient ride, he can come with a run. He has shown the ability to rate and finish in the past.
Yeah, I like that about him too. I would give him a pass for the last race because it was a closing kind of race, and he was probably a little too close to the pace. But he's not, as opposed to some of the other horses we already talked about. He doesn't need the lead. He can sit off of it a little bit, but still get the jump on some of the deeper closers. So there are things to like about this horse at a price.
The 6 Galleon Mast won this race in 2018, was 3rd in last year's edition, and it just seems like they want to point to this race every year. He has 1 race off a 2-month break, the Millions Turf Preview. He was beaten by Venezuelan Hug, but I wonder if they were using that race as a prep. I would not be surprised, especially if the pace is fast, if this old gray comes with a solid kick.
Yeah, I wouldn't either. He's got a race in him that would make him a real contender in here. He's another horse who, he'll be off the pace, but he won't be too far away. So maybe he gets the right trip in here. And obviously he's just got plenty of races that would make him really tough in this race. He may have lost a step or two, but his good race is actually really good.
Now here's the Michael Maker special of the day, the 7 Max KO, 12-1 on the morning line. Maker claimed this horse for 50. I'm assuming he claimed this horse to run him in the Sunshine Turf. He has speed, however, and his recent form isn't that great. There are other speeds in the race. I'm just not sure how this sets up for him. If it wasn't Maker, I would completely dismiss him, but we've seen Maker do it before with these kind of horses.
Right. We look at him the exact same way, Dan. I don't really like him that much. It just feels like the race isn't going to set up the way that he probably needs it to be effective. But it is Maker off the claim. I'm sure you're right that Maker probably claimed him with this race in mind. So maybe he'll get this horse to take a step forward.
Let's watch the last race from the 8. Clear Destination, 89 buyer speed figure, respectable certainly for a horse that's 15-1 on the morning line. He's 35-1 in this race, and he looks home free at about the 3/16 pole. He's going to get a little bit tired. Still a solid second place finish. This is a horse, I don't know, this race kind of came out of nowhere.
Yeah, he ran okay in this race. The horse that beats him, Gray's Creek, is actually pretty good for Chad Brown. I don't know. I thought he ran well in this race. I don't really like any of his other races, Dan. So that sort of turned me off to this horse, but he's going to be a big price as well.
Danny Gargan's done such a nice job with his 3-year-old turf horses in 2020, and he tested Venezuelan Hug a couple of times, ran him in the Pennine Ridge, ran him in the Belmont Derby. Here's what he did, though, in the Millions Turf Preview. He was basically last on the rail, turning into the stretch. He's the gray horse in the teal silks. He's in behind horses. There's nowhere to go. Finally, Joe Bravo spies a spot in between horses. He's going to bump off that horse in the red silks, and once he gets to the rail and sees the clear daylight, he fires.
Yeah, this is a good performance. For a closer, especially one who's taken money, you really don't want to get that kind of a trip in where he was just down inside all the way. That's not how you want to ride him. But Bravo didn't really have that many options, and the horse came through for him there. That was a really game win for this horse. And you're right, outside of the 2 graded stakes races where he just doesn't fit with horses like that, every start he's made for Gargan has been really good.
It's really a fun race, the Sunshine Turf, a competitive field. We take a look at our top selections for this race, and you're going to go with Venezuelan Hug. And after watching that last race, I mean, I can't argue with you. He's my second selection in here.
Yeah, I'm just a fan of this horse. I've liked him from the start, Dan. I wouldn't take too short a price on him because this isn't a race he has to win. But this race could set up the right way for him. And I just think he's pretty good. I'm afraid of proven strategies, but I think Venezuelan Hug could get the right setup in here.
I like the price potential for the 5 over the channel. I think the blinkers off's going to settle him down a little bit. He was just too eager when 3 wide around both turns in his last race, too close to the pace. I want to take him back, make one run. Maybe he can pop at a price. Mike's going 9-2-3-4. I'm going 5-9-1-8. It's the Sunshine Turf. It's race 11 at Gulfstream on Saturday. Best of luck.